Welcome aboard, everyone, classmates, if you want to be called that. I am Noah Mellis.
And I'm Nate Mackey. My first name's Nathan, but I go by Nate. And classmates. I mean,
Yeah,
let's try and think of better
yeah,
names, but
and
that's a name.
yeah, it's a placeholder name for now.
Hmm.
We'll see if something more organic forms later on. But yeah, I accidentally, yeah, revealed
Ooh,
Nate's full name last
that's fine.
episode,
It's
but
fine.
I caught myself, and we're staying with Nate for the rest of this series.
I
But
also just have I just have a good name. Passengers.
ooh, passengers. I do
Hmm.
I do like that better. Classmates. Classmates slash passengers. Let us know in the comments if you're listening to this which one you guys prefer. But for also I think before I hop in with the intro, Nate, I thought you said you were going to explain. Did you? I can't remember. Did you explain why you went
My
with
name thing.
Nate in the
Oh
last
no,
podcast?
I never did
Yeah.
actually. No.
No.
So
I
I
think you
never
forgot about
yeah
this.
I
But yeah,
never
really.
listening back to that. I was like I didn't even explain that. I just kind of skipped over it. So, my name, my whole life's been Nathan. It's been pretty nothing fancy, simple. But I've just anytime I see a character in a show or a movie or in almost anything, and the character's name is Nathan, they always call him Nate, and I always like that so much more. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna make my name that because it's pretty much the shortened down version of my full name. So easy transition. It's harder for people who knew me already, who knew me from the past, who called me just my full name the whole time. But when I moved to where I am now for college, I introduced to myself to people as Nate, and that's what they call me. So
Me
cool.
being one of them who has a hard time
Hmm.
with Nate because I was so used to Nathan. But we're gonna do it for the rest of the school night podcast, Nate, and yeah, and that's it is a cool shortened version of Nathan, just Nate, because well, one of our I think favorite like video games too and characters, Nathan Drake,
Nathan Drake. Yep.
right from Uncharted.
And actually, that's
So,
that's another
but
fun. Hold on
oh
quickly. It's
yeah,
That's
go ahead.
another fun story. I did an ancestry DNA
Yes, I was
test,
I was yeah yeah.
and just going through it, it shows you people you relate to, like people like historical people or famous people. I'm going through it, and I'm like, holy shit, no fucking way. The reason in the game Uncharted, the reason Nathan Drake makes his name, well, first name was Nathan, and his last name he chose Drake because they believed that they were ancestors to Sir Francis Drake, and I was just like, that's pretty cool. And going through my ancestry, I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm going through seeing famous people I'm related to. Sir Francis Drake was one of them. I was like, holy shit, no
That's
way.
crazy.
I
That's
could be
crazy to
Nathan
find
Drake.
out. You could destiny. It's like you were named Nathan for a reason.
Hmm.
Nate. But going out on an adventure, gotta find yourself some treasure now. It's a lost city.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
gotta find
jumping
Atlantis or
back,
something.
that was just like a quick yeah, that was just a quick segue because I was thinking about that last time too of like I don't think we ever talked about the reason your name changed from Nathan to Nate. But
Mm.
now we got the explanation. Now we're gonna hop back into this episode. Oh, and quick like uh side mention as well too. For the listeners, I am a little sick. I'm fighting off a cold, so if I sound a little bit congested, that is the reason. Um, but for this episode, we're actually going to be talking about, which we teased on the first episode of School Night, one of our favorite shows, which is The Walking Dead. AMC's The Walking Dead.
Pretty sure
Um,
that's how we became
and
friends. Actually, was because of the show.
I was it?
Yeah.
I think that was how we became friends because it was sort of like you know, a similarity or
Hmm.
like something that we could connect on.
We
It was
talked
like,
about
"Oh
that.
shit, you watched The Walking Dead?" And it was because at the time too, like nobody else was watching it. Like our age or like in our school, nobody else
Hmm.
watched it. Like it was us. I mean, there was like a few, but like other than like me and you, like we were like right into it. And so it
I
was
think
like we
because it's
didn't
more of
have
an adult
anybody to
show,
talk.
I
Yeah, we
guess.
didn't have anybody to talk to about it, and it was. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, even now, like it's not for everybody. Like as soon as you say Walking Dead, some people just might be like, "Hell nah!" Like they're not into horror or they're not into like zombies. But what I try to like tell a lot of people that maybe might be hesitant for The Walking Dead, I always highly suggest them to check it out because it's like it's not about the walkers, you know. It's not about
Yeah.
the zombies. It's
It's not
about
just about the
the
scary part.
humanity and yeah, and it's about what would like you do if an apocalypse fell upon us.
Hmm.
How if society just crumbled, what would you do? What choices would you make in order to survive and protect not only yourself but maybe your loved ones and family? So it's a very very awesome show about that stuff, and it's more so like I always say to them, it's more so about the survivors than the dead,
Hmm.
than the walkers, the dead walking. So yeah, so I'll kind of go first and talk about how I was introduced to the show first, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, if you know you love The Walking Dead, because you probably won't stick around if you haven't seen The Walking Dead, because yes, that's just a little heads up. We are gonna maybe be mentioning like a few like some spoilers of the show.
Yes.
We're gonna be
Yes.
mentioning some of our like favorite episodes and moments. So spoiler warning to everybody listening who hasn't seen The Walking Dead. Click off now. This is the only time where we'll tell you to
That's
click
your
off
only
our
warning.
podcast because or stop listening because yeah, you should if you haven't seen The Walking Dead, you should definitely check it out. And what have you been doing all your life? Go check out The Walking Dead. Even if you like aren't hardcore fans like us and stick it throughout the whole show, I highly suggest at least watching like the first like 5 or 6 seasons. Like they are peak Walking Dead, and it's such great content. So so that was your warning. That was your warning. I hope everyone who hasn't seen it is gone now, and now we're stuck here with the true fans. So thank you for sticking around and listening to this. So how I first got into watching The Walking Dead was actually from my mom, believe it or not. But actually, there was one time when I think it was the same year it came out too, or like maybe the next year, 2011 or 2010. I think it might have been 2010. But because the very first episode of The Walking Dead released on Halloween of 2010, October 31st, so like coming up to like 14 years ago, which is just
Nuts.
crazy to think about how long the show's been going on for, and it's still technically going on with the spin-offs, which we might talk about another time. But it's because that's the big hype now, or about the spin-offs. But the main show is just, you know, the mothership show is just, it holds a special place in the heart for, I think, everybody who's watched The Walking Dead, especially for me and Nate. And so yeah, I first, when I was like a kid, I think I was like, well, 2010, I would have been 8 years old. Again, crazy to think about. And then like I turned on the TV. We got home from somewheres or whatever, and we didn't have the TV on. I turned it on, and it was on, AMC at the time, and I had no idea what AMC or the channel was, but I saw this like episode or these couple guys like showering or whatever, and I was just kind of like, obviously me at 8 years old is like, what the hell is on the TV right now? I'm like,
Are you
what's
talking about
happening?
season one?
And I'm talking about season 1, and it was the
Oh,
pilot
okay.
episode
Oh
when
shit.
when at the time I didn't know when Rick and Morgan and Dwayne were showering at the police station, and I didn't realize at the time that that's who that was, that's what they were doing. I was just like, what is this? So I went on Guide, and I looked, and I was like, Mom, I was like, what's on the TV? And she's like, well, hit Guide. So I hit Guide, and it said The Walking Dead. And I was like, it's The Walking Dead. And she was like, oh, just change the channel then. So I did, because little did I know, I mean, I was 8 at the time, so I was super young, and it's like I'm seeing a couple guys showering, so it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be seeing anything or what, but it's like, I might be seeing Rick and Morgan's package full-on show. It's like, which I was just about to do it, which I'll let, actually, maybe I'll just, which, yeah, Rick be like, yeah, let's show it off, Morgan. You think you're better, huh? I don't know about that. Um, but I was going to let the listeners know too that I do like impressions of like Walking Dead characters and whatnot. So uh, I I should have just kept going with the impression instead of stopping to maybe say it because I wanted to surprise you guys. But if you listened to last podcast, I did mention that I do impressions and stuff. So yeah, I love. I think. Yeah, I'll talk about that here soon. But
That's what happens when you grow
yeah.
up
So I
watching a
was
show.
8. I had no idea what The Walking Dead was, obviously, because I switched the channel and I just went about my day. But when I really got into it was when my mom started watching it, and she ended up watching it during Christmas time when it was getting close to Christmas, and she was actually wrapping some presents, I guess, and she was looking for something to watch, and she thought, oh, why not watch The Walking Dead? Because at that point, there was only season 1. Season 2 hadn't come out yet, and so she was like, oh, it's only 6 episodes, why not? I'll watch it. So she put it on, and she said after she watched the first episode, she couldn't stop. She binged all 6 episodes while she was wrapping presents, and
Damn.
yeah. And so then she was watching like season 2 or whatever, and I happened to be there one night when the new episode was coming on, and that new episode at the time was, I'm gonna be such like a nerd for like the episodes and the episode titles. I think, let me see, let me
I
recount
never
back.
know
I
the names of
think
the
it was
episodes,
episode
so I'll leave that up to you.
I think it was season 2, episode 10, 18 Miles Out. And that was the episode where Rick and Shane had their big fight,
Oh,
their fallout.
that's the first like full episode you watched?
Yes,
Damn, what a first full episode to watch. That's nuts.
I know, right? And it was new at the time. It was just like came out that Sunday night, and we were actually watching it, I think either that Sunday night or like the next day. And yeah, I remember watching it with my mom, and I was like, at the time, I didn't know everything what was going on. I got the gist of it when I was watching it, but I was just like, this is actually pretty damn good. I was like, this is, and I wasn't getting freaked out or because as a kid, I liked horror and I liked scary stuff, so it didn't scare me, or like the gore didn't like freak me out or turn me off as a kid. I was all for it. I loved it. And like Nate said, it was like one of the best episodes to get into because it was just like that moment right there, and especially the next moment with in another episode later on, a couple episodes later with Rick and Shane, that was just building up like all season long, and even like all throughout season 1 too. So it was like I got to witness it all just unfold right then and there without having to go through the build up. um, but yeah, so that was awesome. And then I continued watching it with her after that, season 2, and I remember watching season 2 episode 12, which is actually one of my favorite. 18 Miles Out is definitely on one of my favorites episodes, and so is episode 12, Bitter Angels, which is the one where, well, Rick kills his best friend Shane in the field. And I remember watching that live, and I was like, oh my god, I was all for it. I was like right into it. Couldn't keep my eyes off the screen. Like the emotion, the intensity before Rick stabs Shane with the knife. Just like their whole discussion in the field, I was like enthralled with it. And honestly, I didn't expect Rick to kill Shane then and there like that. But I thought it was an amazing moment, obviously, because it's still talked about to this day, and season 2 was a long time ago.
That was a very
And
defining moment.
yeah, well, like I heard some people say, like you could even like hear like Rick talk like differently, like he almost had like a growl in his voice after he killed Shane. It really changed him. Like before he was just the sheriff of Kings County, and
Officer Friendly.
yeah, and now after Shane's death, he's no longer the sheriff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer Sheriff Grimes, Sheriff Deputy Grimes. What else happened? But yeah, I was gonna say that quickly too on the topic of Rick and Shane. It was like Shane is like a top tier character for sure, but it's just crazy to think that like Shane is still talked about to this day when he was only in 2 seasons.
Years
And
ago,
there's
he's
like
talked about to this very
oh,
day.
11 seasons and plus spin-offs of like Walking Dead, like 13, 12 years later, and he's still talked about to this day. It just goes to show that the actor John Bernthal, who played Shane, just how incredible he was as him and how much of an effect that he had with forming the show for what it became later on in the future. And yeah, it's wild. But after that, I actually missed the first couple episodes of season 3, and I think, yeah, because and then I got back into it. Mom was watching another episode Sunday night, because as all the fans would know, that Walking Dead usually always came out on Sunday night, and so it was Sunday night, and I went back to watch it with her because I was like, is this The Walking Dead again or whatever? And I was like, yeah, I was like, I missed the first couple episodes or whatever of this, and she was like, yeah, or whatever. So that was okay. So I was watching it, and it was the episode, season 3, episode 4, Killer Within, where Lori and T-Dog dies.
You just come
Yeah,
in at
so
the
both
worst times.
yeah, both episodes. So my very first episode, Rick and Shane have a fallout, start to fight, and then the other time I got into it again was where Rick's wife got a C-section and died, and T-Dog, the main OG as well, died, all in the same episode. And yeah, it was tough, man. Like it actually, like, to this day it still gets me teary-eyed a little bit. Like that scene was so well done. And I just love when they play the music and they cut towards Rick talking with Carl, like on top of the barn in season 2, where he's like, no more kid stuff. Like, I'm gonna die, mom's gonna die. There's
You're gonna
no,
die.
yeah, there's no way you can ever be ready for it. It's just like, it's so good. And it's because, well, at the time, I was like 10 at the time when season 3 came out. So it was tough because it was honestly almost like I'm watching Lori die, and so then obviously it kind of makes me think about, oh, what if I lost my mom, like this or whatever, if I was in this situation. And it made me like emotional because it was just like, damn, it was like, what would I do? It was like, I would probably, I would honestly put her down probably too, like Carl did to Lori, because it was like, it's the merciful thing to do. And I know, like, my mom probably wouldn't want to. Cause that's actually, I think she said that to me at one point. We were watching the show, and she's like, "Yeah," she's like, "Yeah," she was like, just put me down, buddy." She's like, I don't want to be a walker." I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Fair enough." But
Oh,
that's what,
mom, I got you.
yeah. So, and then after I got back in with episode, that's when I started watching, and I never stopped consistently every week from week to week. And then obviously within that time I went back to
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask
watch
you
to
about
catch
that.
up on what I missed on. Yeah, season 1, and then, the first half of season 2 that I missed before, 18 Miles Out. And then yeah, I just started watching it consistently since episode 4 season 3. And yeah, and so Walking Dead's been a part of my life. Like, it's been a part of my life since, like, season 2, since 2011. So, yeah, so, like, 13 years. It's been a part of my life, which is just insane. Which is why I think, like, no matter what show, like, comes out, or what other, like, maybe, like, better quality or better overall, like, storytelling show that comes out over The Walking Dead. Like, The Walking Dead's always gonna be like my favorite show. It's because it just has a very like special sentimental place in my heart, because it's like we grew up with this show. Like, we literally grew up with it. We were growing up with the characters, and it was almost like, yeah, like it was almost as if we were the kids in the apocalypse. We were like Carl or something. We were growing up with him and stuff, and got to see
Mm.
him grow up on the show too, which was cool.
I think that was
Um,
the craziest part.
but
It was
yeah,
watch because there's actual kids on the show, and we grew up with those kids.
it's like those kids, like, well, I just searched it up the other day, or like not that long ago, but the girl, I keep forgetting her name, but
The one that plays
actually,
Sophia.
let me see if I can find it. Well, not only Sophia, but I think the actress who plays Lizzie.
Let's see.
Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, she's the same age as us.
Damn.
So
You, I'm
so
guessing.
so when she was doing so when she was, well, same age as me, yeah. So when she did that, look at the flowers, Lizzie. It was like I was like, "Oh my God, Carol could have just shot me in the back of the head there."
Yeah. No, you guys
All I know
don't know
at
what
the
we're
time,
talking
like,
about, but
I
we're
was
talking about
that
that
age.
later. They have no idea what we're talking about if they're not, if they haven't seen it.
Yes, anybody listening now would have seen The Walking Dead. Remember,
Well, it's some people,
they're gone. They
Noah,
should be gone unless they.
don't like listening to rules, because what if they hear it's like we're gonna talk about the show? It's like,
Well,
you know what? I'll find out what the show's like through
Well,
these
yeah, okay, so
guys.
we'll talk about that later, but I mean, it's on you guys if you did stay and want to listen to spoilers, because you should experience it, first viewing for yourselves. But hey, that's your life. It's your life, your choice. So, but yeah, we'll get to that here soon. But um, yeah, let me see. Lizzie, actress. Yeah, Brighton Sharpino. And uh let me see, Brighton Sharpino. And yeah, she's actually, well, yeah, she's the same age, 21 right now, but she's going to be 22 in August 19th. And that's why I was like, that is crazy that she was the same age as me when she filmed The Walking Dead. Now, Chandler Riggs, Carl, he's like a few years older.
Maybe
He's like
he's
3 or 4 years older.
I was gonna say he's probably closer to my age.
Yeah, I think he's only like 3 years older. But yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, it is a little bit like unrealistic within the timeline of the show, because it's like the timeline of the show, it's like at that point it was only like about like a year. Like by season 3 they were only a year into the apocalypse. And so by like season 4 and all, it was only about maybe like 2 years into the apocalypse, and Carl like grew up
4 years.
significantly in those 2 years, 2-3 years. It's like the apocalypse, where as obviously it was over longer than that for the show, but yeah, he's 24 right now, so
He's a year older than me.
yeah, he's going to be 25 in June.
He's
So
almost 2 years
yeah,
older than me.
he's yeah, and he's 3 years older than me, so yeah, that's cool. That's but that's it. After that, it was just because I have like 2 favorite shows. Walking Dead is like, and it's like between like these 2 shows. Might talk about the other show at some point. I'm actually I don't know if you know what my other favorite show
6 Feet Under?
is, Nathan,
Is it 6 Feet Under?
or Nate.
6 Feet Under?
Yes. Oh, he does. He does remember. Okay.
Ah, yes.
I recommended that show to Nate, which he will still have to watch at some point. And I recommend it to any of the listeners too as well. You wanna see a great show, and it's not a terribly long show either. Like The Walking Dead. Like I highly suggest watching Walking Dead, but it is it is a journey with Walking Dead. It is a lot of episodes and seasons, but it is worth it. But 6 Feet Under, it's a nice compact show. It's only 5 seasons, and it's just great from beginning to end. Whereas a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about Walking Dead, like the first like however many seasons are peak, and then it's kind of drops off a little bit in quality, which I don't think it really did. I think there is some, like, we can talk about that soon too. I do think there's some weaker seasons obviously
Yeah.
in the bunch, but I mean that's to be expected. If you're going all those years, like 12 years, of a show, you're gonna get some weaker seasons, or you're gonna get some weaker episodes. It's just the way it is. But yeah, 6 Feet Under is definitely like my favorite show because of like just its overall quality, and it didn't like overstay its welcome, and it had one of the best series finales ever, which could honestly be how many shows have you watched, Nate?
It's way too many to count there, buddy. Way too many to count.
Way too many. Okay.
I'm a
So
person
maybe
who
that, I
loves
mean, I probably,
watching shows and movies, so
yeah,
that's like I
yeah.
can't to a lot, like over 100. Over
Okay,
100
wow.
different
Okay, so
shows.
you probably got more than me. You probably got more than me. But I was gonna say that could honestly be an idea just that I got in my head right now for the listeners to hear about, that we could talk about, maybe like our favorite like pilots or like series finales or something for shows, or like a ranking for like our favorite shows.
Yeah, I think we should. I'll tell the viewers about my introduction to Walking Dead.
Yep.
So mine was actually a lot different compared to Noah's, like a lot different. So I didn't have anyone to introduce it to me. I more discovered it. It was I didn't know anything about season 1. It was season 2. It was around not winter. I was gonna say winter, Halloween. So somewhere around there. So when it would start up at that time, I think it might have been November. So I was just one day in the morning. I was eating breakfast before school. And I'm sitting there just channel surfing, trying to figure out what should I watch. And I see this show called The Walking Dead. I'm like, I like zombies. And I go and watch it. And it's the premiere episode of season 2. That episode is like the highway scene, where they break down the highway with the RV, that was the first episode I saw. I didn't get to see all of it. I tuned in right when I think it was Dale on top of the RV, and he was looking around and he saw the herd of walkers coming. Then
Mhm.
that's pretty much from there. And I'm sitting there, didn't know what was happening. I was like, "What the hell's happening?" A bunch of zombies are coming. I know they were called walkers. They're all freaking out, panicking, hiding and stuff. I see this. One thing that's really memorable is this scene where T Dog, character that Noah mentioned, he was trying to run away from them, get somewhere to hide, and he's looking, trying to be stealthy. He actually cuts his arm really bad on like a rusty door, and Daryl comes and saves him. Another pretty important character who's still alive to this day in the show. I didn't know who the hell that was. I'm like, who the hell is this guy coming out to help this guy? Like, what's happening? I was so confused because I had no context to what was going on. But after watching that, I was like, that's pretty interesting. Never watched it again until the summer, like the after season 2 was over. That summer when I was just chilling, doing some of the stuff as kids do. I started, I think, what was it? I was talking about the show because I thought it looked interesting and looked pretty good because I was seeing trailers on it. I was like, that'd be interesting to watch. So my mom had a friend who knew how to bootleg shows. So he got her friend to bootleg season 1 and 2 for me. So I had bootleg versions of season 1 and 2. So I watched season 1 and 2 during that time, and I was like, I really love this. I actually watched season 1 and 2, like, I think 2 times over during the summer, and then I moved on to season 3 because that's what I was seeing trailers about. I was seeing trailers about season 3 coming out. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start watching that. So then I started watching season 3. I haven't stopped since.
Actually, that's actually how I watched. I mentioned how I caught up on season 1 and the rest of season 2, but that's actually how I caught up on season 1 and season 2 as well, from kind of like a bootleg
You also had a bootleg
downloads or
version?
like site my uncle was. Yeah, well, it was like my uncle had put, or maybe it was like after I caught up just to like have it to watch it over again, but I think maybe some of them was how I got caught up on it. He would like download it from like a torrent site or whatever, and he ended up getting it onto my PS3, and I still have those episodes on my PS3, and it's so cool to go back
Damn.
and look at it in the like the video area, and it's just like Walking Dead, like episodes from like season 2 and season 1. So cool.
Yeah, I don't have mine anymore. I mean, I do have later on when they start releasing like the full seasons on like DVDs and stuff. I actually did end up making a collection. I have all the way up to season 6 on DVD. I stopped after season 6. I don't know why. I think it was the time when DVDs were starting to become obsolete. So I was like, I'm gonna stop collecting them. I don't know.
Yeah, we only have, I think, seasons 1 and 2 on DVD, and I kind of like, I would like to get like the full like box set, like now that the series is complete. Like I'd like to get like the full box set just to have, and because you get the like the extra scene or like the uncensored scenes, like when Rick's like swearing and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, shit's awesome. Or like when Negan's swearing, it's like, yeah,
I didn't even realize those were censored.
oh
They
yeah.
weren't swearing on the show.
No, there was like no swearing on the show until like season 11 they started doing it a little bit.
Damn.
Yeah. I
Until
know that's
like
it
the
it
last
shows it
season, the
goes.
very last season that they ever did.
Yeah, because they were a little bit less strict on them with like swearing or whatever. Because that's what they were like talking about, how like the producers and like Gimple and stuff they were saying, like they were strict on us for like swearing, but like when it came to the violence, they just let us go crazy.
Oh
It's like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like the violence matched the show, and I think honestly that's the reason why you didn't notice it too much, that they weren't swearing or saying like dropping F-bombs, was because the violence matched, to an adult show. It was like, oh shit. But at the same time, it was like, when you look back on it, it's like, huh, they really never did drop F-bombs throughout the whole show, which kind of made some of it. I know some people complain about that because it was like, it kind of makes it like unrealistic, because if you were in an apocalypse, obviously they're gonna be like swearing a
Wait a
bunch and
minute.
whatnot and using like vulgar language.
Hold on. They swore. Season 1.
What?
Glenn called Rick a dumbass.
I'm
I
counting
count that
like
as a swear word.
swear though,
I count that as a swear word.
F-bomb. Like they got away with saying like ass or shit, but they could never drop an F-bomb. Never. Until season 11, were
Who was the first
they
person? Wasn't I
restricted
think I
the.
remember we talked about that. Who was the first person to say it? To drop an F bomb. Wasn't it Aaron? I can't remember.
Well, in the actual show to air on the TV, maybe, yeah, but it was Rick who said like the first F-bomb, and it was for a deleted scene, right? The uncensored version of when they're all in the train car and at Terminus, and he's like, they're gonna feel pretty stupid when they find out they're fucking with the wrong people. Yeah, see, that just sounds a little bit more badassery than they're screwing with the wrong people, but that's still badass though.
No, just casually naming one of my favorite scenes in the entire show.
It's a great scene, man. We could like talk about that quickly. Like that season finale and leading into season 5, that wait to go into season 5 was probably
I
the
was hyped.
hypest I ever was for a show.
Same. I was so
And like
fucking
for
hyped.
Walking Dead ever.
Like I
Like
think
that was honestly one of my favorite.
It was that one and the premiere of the finale of season 7 leading to 8. Those were the two. From 4 to 5 and 7 to 8.
Wait, do you mean like leading into All Out War, or do you mean like season 6 leading into season 7?
No. That one.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
That one I was more dreading.
Okay.
I was more dreading that one than looking forward
Because
to it.
the two moments I was like, yeah, that was probably one of my favorite arcs in the whole series, as well as the Terminus arc, and I wish they had stretched it out a little bit longer instead of dealing with them in like 3 episodes. I was like, that sucks, because I really liked Gareth as like a villain, and I thought he and the hunters and the termites were like way better than the whole hospital arc with Beth. Yeah, I know, I love termites, the nickname. Yeah, that should, like I said, that should have been replaced. That whole the first half of season 5 should have been filled with Terminus, them trying to escape. Like honestly, like if they had stayed in Terminus for the full like first episode, and it like bled into like episode 2, and they got out in episode 2, I think that would be pretty cool, because it just seemed like so easy to get like out of Terminus, where it was like, and it would have been a great payoff too, because they spent the whole second half of season 4 trying to get to Terminus, and it was like, and then they just destroy it in one episode, and it's like, oh, okay, well, it's like yeah, you could have still had like badassery moments with like Rick gunning down people or whatever, but it was like there would have been like just certain ways that they couldn't escape just yet, and they were trying to like strategize how they would get out of there or get back to, like, maybe like that part like near the end of where they get back to the train car and they let out the others, like that could have been the end or something of like episode 1, and then episode 2 continues with all of them, fighting through and then getting out, and then
sorry, my brain does this sometimes, where because I'm always in like movie mode, where it's like, what would be a good shot. I think a great way to end episode 1 for that is like they're coming up, like we see them, they kind of tune in to what's happening in the train car. They're getting ready for another fight, so like they're getting weapons and stuff. I think it'd be great if they heard footsteps outside the train car, and then the doors slide open, and it's just a bright light shining in, and then the episode ends there. So it's like, oh shit, are they about to be saved
because you don't
or killed?
Right, yeah, I like that too. I like that. And yeah, yeah, I don't know, cuz I felt like I would have just structured it a little bit, cuz I would be totally curious to see how it would have went down if the original showrunner from season 1 into was still running it and didn't get fired, Frank Darabont. Cuz I wonder, I feel like he would have structured it a lot differently. Like, I feel like the opening scene where they're all getting ready to fight right away, I feel like that would have been like, feel like it would have took its time for the first, like, couple minutes, 5 minutes, where like they're like getting ready for battle, but it's just like they're just stuck in the train car and they're just like catching up with one another. They're just talking and like expressing like fear and stuff of like, what do you think's gonna happen here? Like, do you think we're gonna die? Is this the last place we're gonna be all together and stuff like that? And I just feel like it would built up the suspense and dread of like what Terminus was or could be and is, because it's basically a place to fucking slaughter people like cattle and eat them.
Practically
So like that's like
a giant hunting trap. It's pretty much what it is. Like, remember, like there's like they
yeah,
had
like that, like
snares and
on.
stuff like that in the woods that Rick would go and to get animals. That's pretty much what that was. It
Mhm.
was a giant trap for people.
Yeah, like Rick literally in the season finale of season 4, like he was describing at the beginning of the episode, he was telling Carl like how to do like the snare traps and how to lead the prey into the trap. And it was like he was explaining the same exact technique that Terminus used on Rick, Michonne,
Damn,
Daryl, and Carl
I didn't even realize the
by
foreshadowing there.
leading them into the train car. Yeah, with the the gunfire towards their feet. That's what like Rick said. They're aiming at her feet. It's like they're not trying to kill us. So yeah, it was crazy foreshadowing. But I just wish like that was one of my favorite arcs in the entire show, because it really did have like, I think, a big effect on the group and Rick himself, because it's like, Jesus, this is how far people will go to survive in this world now. Is like they just turn on each other on a dime, and it's like it doesn't even matter if like you're related to them. Like Gareth's brother Alex, who got shot when Rick was holding them at gunpoint from the sniper, he was the one on the table that they were sawing up,
Oh my god.
that they were cutting apart to eat. Yeah. So that was
Food is
like, that's
food.
crazy. As Yeah, so it's like food is food, right? And it was like, okay, so these people are like scary, like they don't give a shit. And
Well,
so y-
I was gonna say we have 15 minutes left for the episode, so I have an idea that we could do to try and wrap this up. So here's my idea. I think we go into each season, not each episode, just the season, because we're gonna need to do this quickly. There's 11 seasons. So you say your favorite scene, not episode, your favorite scene in each season, starting
of
with
each
one
season. Okay,
all the way up to 11.
cool.
So start. What's your favorite scene in season one?
There's that's gonna be tough. I think there's two scenes that I really love in two, like, you could count it as three, but like two, it goes back and forth. But the first scene that I really love in season 1 is from the pilot episode where Rick is going to put down Bicycle Girl Walker, and he's like saying like, I'm sorry this happened to you, and Morgan's trying to put down his wife, vice versa in the next scene. It just cuts back and forth between those two scenes, and he can't do it. He can't bring himself to do it, and I really, really love that scene. Oh, but of course, there's that iconic shot of Rick going into Atlanta as well. The poster shot,
Um, my favorite scenes
riding on the horse.
you probably wouldn't expect it. So I'll tell you
What?
mine, then you can decide which one's yours. So my favorite scene is the last episode of season one. It's when Brenner locks them all inside and they're trying to break out. So like they're bargaining with their life, and they're trying to convince him to just like open up the doors. We'll make it. He's like, no, no, and they're trying to do everything they can. Everyone's kind of freaking out in some sort of way. And then it's like the second that they convince him to open
Yeah.
up the doors, it was like, oh, freedom. And then you go, and then like it's just almost like panic where they're trying to all work together because they were all kind of arguing amongst each other while in there because they were all like trapped and it was like we're gonna fucking die. And then the second there was freedom, they just like immediately became a coherent team and was like, let's go, let's get the fuck out of here. And they're sitting there trying to break open the window, and it's not working, and it's not working. And Rick remembers, Carol actually remembers because she's the one who had it. The Rick had a fucking grenade that he found in like episode 1 of season
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
So that thing came all the way back around to
Comes full
save their
circle.
life. Yeah. And then it was just the scene where
Yeah, that
they all run to the cars, and then Dale comes out with Andrea, and then, like they get into the cars, and then the building just explodes. That right there set the premise. I was like, this
explodes. Yeah.
show is going to be epic. So
Yeah, that was a crazy scene. But another one of my favorite scenes too of season 1 that I loved a lot was, of course, the family reunion scene with Rick and
that's a really
Lori
good
and
one
Carl
too. That's a really good one.
and Shane, getting to see them all again. That I love that because it was just like that's what my mom loved about the show too, because she didn't expect it. She's like, "Oh, I thought they were gonna take the whole season for him to find his family, but like he found them in like the 3rd episode." And that's when she realized, oh shit, they're not like beating around the bush here. Like they're playing all their cards.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I was like, yeah, that was awesome that they didn't drag that out. So yeah, those were
Season
my
two,
favorite
season
scenes in
two.
season 1.
We have to do this quick. This is like speed
Yep,
run.
season 2. You go first. This one.
Okay,
You
so
go
I think
first.
my
Yep.
favorite scene for season 2 is between like the bar scene with Herschel, Rick, and Glenn, or the scene with Maggie and Glenn
Yeah.
in the pharmacy. It's between those two.
Yeah, there
I
is
think
so fuck.
it.
This is hard.
I think it's going to be the bar scene because I love Glenn and I love Maggie. Those two are iconic characters. But I think I'm choosing
Yeah.
the bar scene because I think that was the first time Rick kills people in the show. That was Rick's first
He
kill of
did.
a
He did.
person.
That was his first 2 kills. Yeah. Here Nebraska's nice. Yeah, that was a great scene, and the pow, pow. Yeah, that was a great scene. A couple of my favorite scenes was obviously the was that happened in the pilot? Or not the pilot, the season opener, first episode of season 2, with Carl getting shot.
Was
That was crazy.
I think that was episode 1 or 2. It's hard to tell for that one. I think it was episode
Yeah,
1, and episode 2
that
was him running through the
yeah,
field.
that was yeah, that was crazy. And then, but my other like favorite scene, like you said, the bar scene was awesome. But my other favorite scene would either be Rick versus Shane or Rick killing Shane in the field.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite scene. Also, the "This isn't a democracy anymore" speech from Rick at the
That's a
end of
good
season
speech.
2
Yep.
was amazing. Mwah, chef's kiss. Perfect way to end season 2, and then the pan out to the
The
prison.
prison. Oh yeah.
Ooh,
that
hi.
was
Which
very
is
nice.
a great lead into season 3.
Yeah. What's your favorite
Season 3 favorite
scene there?
scene from season 3. Oh god, this is tough. Cause let me see. Going through. Um, honestly, I really love the reunion, like with Rick and Morgan. I love that. Also, like some of the Merle stuff was pretty good too. But
Mm.
honestly, one of the scenes that like sticks out too in season 3 was just like where the governor just like guns down his people.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, that was
That really sticks
crazy. I was
out.
like, all right. So I was like, okay, so this guy is a absolute villain, bro. I was like, this guy is insane. He doesn't even care about his own people. He's just gunning them down. And that is that. The governor is the governor.
That was
Which,
I did.
spoiler alert, if we talk about that in another episode, he is my favorite villain on The Walking Dead. I love the governor, man. He's so great. Shout out to David Morrissey. He was great as playing as the governor.
That scene caught me off guard completely. I did not see that coming at all. Like I did not. I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Did he just fucking lose his mind?" It just started going down. Everyone was like, "Jesus Christ!" Like I was in utter shock watching
What
it go
was
down. I was like, "So
right, yeah. Or the other scene is where like he loses his eye to Michonne. That was great.
my favorite
What
scene
what
for
was
that,
yours?
it's between the one. I think they're kind of go together because they're like they go hand in hand. It's the one where Merle kidnaps Maggie and Glenn, and he's like trying to torture
Yeah,
them, and
yeah.
they're resisting and fighting through it and stuff like that. But then immediately
Mhm.
following up to that, I think that's why they're kind of go hand in hand. Is when the group gets into the what was it called? The town. What was it called again? Woodbury. When they break into
Woodbury,
Woodbury,
yeah.
and they just go
Yeah.
in and they so easily just execute a plan perfectly. They flashbang, knocking the sense out of them, grabbing Maggie and Glenn and getting the hell out of there. And like it barely, I know some of them did die during that, but like no big main character died during that. It was so seamless and easy. It was like wow, these
Yeah.
guys went in, went out,
Yeah.
no problem. And it was
Mhm.
also the kind of keep away the
Welcome to
governor was
Woodbury.
also the kind of keep away the governor was trying to do to make Andrea not see the her old group.
Yeah, right. That was intense, man. It was like, oh God, is she gonna like accidentally shoot somebody from the group like she did fucking Daryl in season 2? Oh God.
And could you imagine she did and
But yeah,
she shot Daryl again?
it's like of all people, Daryl would be like, "What the hell, woman? Why you
What?
go so mad?" But
Um,
yeah. So moving
leading
on
into
from
season
season
four.
3, they still it bleeds into season 4 because they're still at the prison.
Mhm.
First half of season 4. Yeah, my favorite scene, honestly, either probably gonna maybe be the same as yours. I like the train
Probably.
car, the
Yep.
whole terminus part, or um, just like when Rick and the governor are talking and like fighting in that
Yep.
episode. I just
Yep.
love everything about that episode. That was my favorite moment when like governor and Rick were like fighting each other, and then governor, boom, got the fucking katana samurai straight through his chest. I'm like, good riddance, Governor. I'm like,
Fuck
finally. I
you,
was like, it's
you
about time.
damn bastard. Nothing but a thorn. Everybody's side.
Right?
But
I was like, Andrea, you had a chance to kill this fucker, like, back in season 3, and maybe Herschel and everybody else could have still been alive.
hmm I mean, hell, they could have been still been at the prison too. I mean, the prison might have not fallen.
Yeah, right? Right?
Uh,
But, like, let's be real, though. Alexandria is better than the prison,
oh,
but the prison is just, like,
100%.
nostalgic, right?
Yeah, the prison
Yeah.
was like them trying to create Alexandria kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I would say what
Their
was
own
my
Alexandria.
yeah my favorites. It's between three. Season four was a good season. It's the
Yeah, it
one that you
was. A
talked
lot of
about
great moments.
where the governor and Rick are talking at the fence and Rick's trying to give him that
Oh, yeah.
speech and like the fighting happens, and or it's the like I said the very end, the terminus scene at the in the train car. The reason I don't want to
And I think I know what scene you might mention.
yeah
I forgot to mention it.
yeah the reason I'm not gonna pick those two is because the first one with the fighting governor, that was a whole episode, and then the train scene, that was like such a small short scene that it took place within like a couple seconds. So my favorite one
Yeah.
is the one that truly showed how badass Rick was. There was this scene where this group, well, I'm not sure, the claimers, I guess we call them, they
The
came rolling in.
Claimers, yeah, that's the
They
one I
came,
forgot to mention.
they were trying to, they were hunting down Rick, Michonne, and Carl, and they ended up sneaking up on them,
Yeah.
catching them off guard. At the time, Daryl was with the claimers. because he didn't know they were that
Mhm.
kind of bad people, and he was just trying to survive. So he's just like, I'll stay with you guys for the time being. And they were pretty much, all of them were getting screwed. Daryl was trying to talk them out of it, so they turned on him. Daryl was getting the shit kicked out of them. Michonne was about to get something very bad was going to happen to Michonne. I don't want to say it because it could strike the video. Anytime you say that word, apparently on YouTube, it strikes the video. So something very bad was going to happen to Michonne. Carl, something very bad was going to happen to
Yeah,
Carl.
Carl.
Holy shit! I couldn't
Yeah.
believe they
let's
did
just
that.
say, let's
I
just,
couldn't believe they did that.
yeah, let's just say, gonna, somebody was undoing their belt buckle
Yep. And
for Carl,
giving him a
and
nice sniff. They were sniffing Carl.
yeah, and Rick was just like, let him go, and then, bah!
Yeah, Rick like
Yeah, and it's like,
headbutts the main guy.
oh, it's like, don't worry, fellas, I got this, and whatever. He's like, oh, it's gonna be so much worse now. And then Rick gets oh, come on, let's see what you got. And he's like,
Mhm.
oh, what you gonna do now, huh, sport?
And he has him in his arms because he's like, Rick went to swing at him, but the main guy just kind of wrapped his
Yeah.
arms around him and held him down. It's, what you gonna do now, sport? And then Rick just looks at him and he gets this kind of look in his eye. He's like, oh, I know what to do. And he digs his teeth straight into this guy's neck
Killer
and just
mode.
rips it out like it
Yeah.
was nothing. And it was like, it caught like every single person was caught off guard so much that the guy holding Michonne at gunpoint was like, what the fuck? Michonne just grabbed the gun, turned it, and shot the guy with it. Daryl managed to recover because they were so caught off guard from what's happening. Daryl started fighting back, trying to kill the two guys that were trying to kill him. And then Rick gets up and he starts walking towards the guy that was about to do that very bad thing to Carl, his son. And he just takes a knife and Rick's like, he's mine.
Yeah.
And
he's mine.
He cuts him open from stem to stern. Straight open.
Yeah. And you just keep stabbing him. Probably for like another 50 times. Yeah, he was badass there too. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't mention that moment, but I'm glad you did because yeah, that is one of my favorite scenes of all season of like the series. Like that is just that's talked about to this day
That
as
just
well. That is
shows
such a
you,
badass moment.
just shows you how badass
That was when Rick
is going to
officially
be.
went cold-blooded, like protector, you know? Like nothing besides my family is, you know, surviving this. Like if you're in between me and my family, you're the one dying.
There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it.
So for season 5, really quick, what's your favorite scene in that season?
Ah, that's a tough one.
Because that's another great scene. A lot of
it,
shit happens.
Yeah, they make it to season 5 in Alexandria. They make it to Alexandria in season 5. I would say
they have a whole Alexandria arc in season 5.
I would say that season 5, my favorite one would probably be, it was somebody in Alexandria. You should go first because I'm trying to decide right now.
Okay, so one of my favorite scenes in season 5 was when Rick killed Gareth with the red machete in the church. That's such a badass moment. It's like, oh, you do this to anyone. Besides, I already made you a promise. And then, yeah, I love the trough scene too at Terminus. That was such a cold opening, man, to a season. Like, such a terrifying opening when they're getting dragged to the blood trough in Terminus. Hear the chainsaw sound.
But what Noah's not mentioning is that during that, Gareth interrogates Rick, trying to figure out where they kept like a bag of guns out in the woods somewhere. Going in.
Yeah.
And he's like describing every single gun in there. And then the very last one, he's like, and a machete with a red handle. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, that's how he said. There's guns in it. Yeah, AK-47, 44 Magnum, compound bow, night scope, And a machete with a red handle.
Mm,
That's what I'm gonna use to kill you. And then just boom. It's like he was not in a place at all to be doing threats to Gareth. It was like they would have died right there, but Rick just didn't give a fuck. Zero fucks. Gareth even like laughed out of nervousness, even though he had all the power at that moment. It was just like Rick's just cold blooded right now. He doesn't care. And yeah, and just to see that come back in a couple episodes later and him just, I already made you a promise, and bah, bah, just like keep like freaking cutting him like all the way down until his guts are spilling out on the floor. Oh man, it was great. But, and then one other like favorite scene too has to be, oh god, there's so many badass moments. But there's like that one where he's like, he hits that cop in the back, he runs him over basically.
oh, that
It's
was
him with the
good.
car,
Yeah.
he comes out, he's like, oh something, he's like, can't go back, bah, and then he just shoots him in the head, and he's like, shut up. But I also love the scene where he gets in the fight at Alexandria with Pete, and they go through the window, and then he's like, got blood all covered on his face, and he just makes that crazy speech, and that's where he first drops the "We're the ones who live" line, and it's just so good, so good. Those were
So
some of mine in season
I think
5.
I
But
think
you?
the reason you're gonna be shocked about this one for my favorite scene. I do love the Gareth one. It's between that and the Noah scene. Noah. There
Oh
was
yeah, Noah's was tough, man.
a Noah as a character named Noah on the show, and there was a scene where they got caught on like the rotating doors, and they had walkers on both sides of them, and it was like Glenn and Noah in one door, and some jackass named Nicholas in the other door, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, we're trapped in here," and then they though someone leads the walkers away on the outside, so it's like, okay, we have to try and do this strategically. We have to break the glass to so we can sneak out and then get out of here. And they're telling like he's telling Noah, Glenn's like he's telling Noah, and he's telling Nicholas to hold it, to brace the door, so that Glenn can break it open with the gun. And as he's trying to do it, it's moving just slightly, and it's freaking Nicholas out. And this guy's a pussy bitch. So then immediately Nicholas just starts pushing the opposite direction and making a gap for the walkers to have access to Noah and Glenn, and he pushes all the way out. The walkers grab a hold of Noah and just pull them into a whole bunch of them, whole crowd of them. And then Glenn's like trying to hold on to him for dear life, and he loses him. Door shuts. Glenn's like sitting there staring at it, thinking that he's dead. And then Noah just comes slamming up against the glass, and he gets torn to shreds right in front of Glenn's very eyes. That's the only scene in all of The Walking Dead where I had to look away, because it was so gruesome and brutal to watch. Watching someone be torn apart right in front of you is nuts.
Yeah, it was a crazy scene for sure. One of the most brutalest deaths ever on The Walking Dead.
Mhm. So season
Like
six,
shown too. Like usually we see like walkers tear people apart, but not like that, man.
yeah,
It
never like
was
that.
tough.
They went all out for that.
But yeah, season 6, you got a favorite scene from season 6?
It would probably. I'm honestly rewatching season 6 right now, so it's kind of we've gotten to the point to where I'm up to we're rewatching. So I would say it would be the Jesus scene when Jesus first like gets introduced. Not that first scene. It was the scene
Oh
like
yeah.
when Rick and Michonne hook up, and then Jesus kind of breaks into the house,
Yeah.
and he's like,
Yeah.
Rick,
And
Rick, and then they both get up. Michonne gets up with her sword.
yeah.
Rick gets up with his gun, and they're just completely butt ass naked, staring at Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, "We need to talk." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's like, oh my god. It's like the sex was so good they saw Jesus. God. But that's yeah, that was a great scene. Michonne and Rick hooking up. That was a great scene. I think one of my favorite scenes was when they were all together fighting off the walkers
Oh yeah,
out of
that's
Alexandria.
iconic.
All together. That was a favorite scene. Daryl freaking firing a freaking rocket
rocket
launcher at
launcher.
one of the saviors.
No, at
Yeah,
all the saviors, a group of
yeah,
saviors.
at all the saviors, and then yeah, and then uh, Rick mowing down on the wolves in the RV.
Mm-hmm.
That was a badass scene. And then probably the last one would be like, yeah, like I'd have to probably go with like the introduction of Negan, man. Like that was such a great introduction for him.
That was really good.
Like there's just so built up. Like there was a lot of great moments in season 6, man.
I'm saving that
Too.
one for
So good, so good.
that's like my favorite season 7. Okay, sorry for that technical difficulties. So what I was trying to say before that all happened, did you realize the first half of season 6 all takes place within like 3 days of each other?
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, I
all that
guess it
takes
makes
place within three
sense.
days of each other. Because I was sitting there because I
Holy
was binge
shit,
watching
that's
through that, and it was all like, wow, this is all like within 3 days, and I think it might have been like two and a
that's
half
crazy.
days. It was
That's a lot
nuts.
of shit happening in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that there's no slow days in the apocalypse.
Yep. Um, but season 7. Moving on to that quickly.
Season 7, yeah.
So my two favorite are its premiere and its finale. Season 7 was
Hmm.
a rough season to watch.
Yes.
It was, uh, it's pretty much the big bad comes in. Their next big bad guy named Negan comes in and pretty much neuters Rick. Like that's the best way I can describe it. He neuters Rick, makes
Yeah.
Rick almost a
Yeah.
pacifist. Makes Rick not want to fight anymore. It was a lot. It was pretty intense. And so it was the beginning of season 7 was when Negan kills two very important characters. That was an insane scene. And then watching Rick go like Negan haul Rick off in the RV, and Rick has to fight for his life out there. That was all crazy. And the ending of
You're not
season
gonna.
7. Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the ending of
I was
season
gonna say, are
7.
we not gonna mention who he killed? Who he killed just in case?
Oh, I mean, he kills at the time it was my favorite character. He kills I ended up I predicted who he was going to kill. I said he's going to kill this person. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but my brain was like he's going to kill that person. But he also killed one of my other favorite characters. He killed two people. He killed Abraham, person I predict he was going to kill, and he killed Glenn, one of my favorite characters. That was hard. That was a hard scene to watch.
Hmm. It was. It was.
Then
Maggie, I will find you.
I think he's trying to say something.
I just hit your skull so hard your eyeball popped out, and it is gross as shit.
But
But yeah, and then at the end, what scene?
my other
Finale?
favorites, my other favorite would be the season finale when Rick's finally got back his courage and he's ready to fight Negan, and they're gearing up to ready to fight them, and he's just like things are looking south because the persons they allied with ends up turning on them, and things aren't looking bad. But then out of nowhere's a group that came out of nowhere called the Kingdom came in and saved them, and the main person who runs the kingdom, Ezekiel, he has a pet tiger. The tiger just comes in and just kills two people so easily, and Negan was like, holy shit, is that a tiger? Holy god, that was
Goddamn tiger.
I fucking love that scene.
Yeah,
I
that's
burst out laughing so hard when he said that.
yeah. That was Those are probably my two favorite scenes of season 7 too, because most of season 7 was just like the group being under Negan's thumb. Like Rick just being Negan's little bitch for the first half of the season, and it was just like, oh god. But yeah, I did like the scene where one other scene where what was it? Was that in season 7? I did like Rick and Michonne's like episode where they went on their little like honeymoon or whatever together. I like that, like at the carnival they were like taking walkers out and stuff. I like that, but
And then there was the part where she thought Rick died. Can't kill Rick though.
yeah, No, not like that. And then Rick battling Winslow, that big walker, the
Oh yes.
spikes. That was pretty cool.
I never knew his name until you told
Uh
me his name. I always called him the spiked
yeah,
walker.
Winslow. Yeah. His name was Winslow, I guess. Winslow. Pop
But
pop pop.
I think
um
we should save the rest of season 8 to 11. Save those for the next episode. If we do another Walking Dead episode.
yeah, we could do a part 2. That was the plan anyway. We were going to do a second part to it anyways, just because there's so much to talk about, so much content to talk about with The Walking Dead, because it's obviously 11 seasons plus spin-offs, so there's so much to delve into and talk about, which we just don't have the time currently right now to talk all about, and to save Nate from the from all
Torture of
that
editing for
time
3 hours.
editing. Yes, because Nate is our lovely editor as well here. So, because as he mentioned in the last podcast, that he is a self-taught editor since he was 14, which is really cool. And I'm also trying to like do my little bits of editing too, but I'm nowhere as near as knowledgeable yet as Nate is with that. So
Yeah, I got like
that's his
how
wheelhouse.
many years has it been? 'Cause it's an odd number now, so
Yeah,
let's do some 13 make me
9 years.
9 years. Yeah, I got 9 years under my belt of editing. I'm coming up on 10 years where I've been editing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I've self-taught, and I've also
Yeah.
I have technically taken a summer school program where it taught me more about editing. So I have
Mhm.
had some lessons, but
Yeah, I
the
think.
majority of it was all self-taught.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So yeah, Nate is our lovely editor, and he's doing a great job with it so far. So, but yeah, we'll continue this conversation next episode for part 2, and I hope everybody enjoyed our discussions with The Walking Dead. And please leave in the comments if what your favorite scenes are, if you've like watched all of The Walking Dead, or tell us if you stopped watching The Walking Dead at some point. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people dropped off like after Glenn was killed, or like after All Out War and stuff. So tell us if you dropped off out of The Walking Dead, and yeah, let us know uh, what you think, and let us know if you haven't seen The Walking Dead and still stuck around. Yeah, let's see.
Well,
What could we
let
put
us know if
for
you're now
to make
going to
people
want to watch
say?
The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
What's
Let's
a good
see.
one? Oh wait, I think
Let's
we should
just
let's
let's
reference the
put.
tiger. What did Negan say? He's like, is that a goddamn tiger? What do you say?
Yeah, it's a goddamn tiger. I
It's a
think. Yeah.
goddamn tiger. Hit comment. It's a goddamn tiger if you've made it this far into the episode.
Yeah. If you made it this far, and put the dead walking. If you haven't seen The Walking Dead, because I'm curious to see if how many people stayed maybe that didn't see the show, which go watch the show. Go watch the
Yeah,
damn show.
hopefully we
Man,
convince
it's
you to
worth
watch
it.
it. Because
Yes.
us
But
explaining the scenes isn't enough. You need to witness them. It doesn't. We
it's
can't
not
even
it's not
truly
giving it
describe them.
justice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not giving it justice. You need to witness it. The greatness that there's a lot, believe us, there's a lot of iconic moments and shots that happen in The Walking Dead that are going to be ingrained in pop culture for years to come.
Mm.
So,
I also wanted
yeah,
to say one more thing before we end this.
yeah,
Expect
go ahead,
more.
Nate.
Like because I'm having a break come up this not next week because I'm finishing up some stuff for school next week, and then after that I'll have a week off, a reading week it's called in college, and expect at that time I'm going to animate an intro for our little podcast here, and I'll also make ending card at the end for the video. So expect some more. Right now, I've done everything I could. I've made like a thumbnail, and I've made um other stuff like our logo and also our background for YouTube. So I'm like a one-man show trying to I'm editing, I'm doing the art. So but expect some more after my during my reading week.
Yeah,
So I'll
and
have
I
some
got
free
my
time.
Yeah, and I got my feet kicked up. No, no, that's
He's doing the
we appreciate Nate.
yeah, I was gonna say Noah's doing the
Yes,
annoying
I'm
part I
doing like the
hated.
titles and like the descriptions. Like, although I need to go back and add a description for the first uh for episode 1. But yeah, for the
Mm,
titles, it's creative titles. Yeah, Nate does not like that stuff
I
because
hate
he
doing
said
that
in the
stuff.
first episode too that he's dyslexic as well, and it's just that is not his wheelhouse.
Mm.
So we each are doing our own like uh areas that we're more stronger in.
So
So yeah,
I'm
team
happy with
team
this.
effort, team
Yeah,
effort.
I'm happy with this workout because I enjoy editing and doing art, but I always dread the part when I have to go and upload and do all that annoying stuff. So I handed off to Noah. I was like, "Yes,
And
you do it. Makes my life easier."
I en- I enjoy yeah, I enjoy typing and I enjoy like writing and stuff. So I'm a writer at heart as well.
Mm.
So yeah, that's been episode 2 of School Night, part 1 for our discussion of The Walking Dead, our favorite show.
Mhm.
And I hope anybody who's made it this far enjoyed the discussions. And like we said before, if you want to continue the discussion, just drop it down in the comment below. If you made it this far, put "It's a goddamn tiger." If you haven't seen The Walking Dead but are still here, put "The Dead Walking." And let's just continue the conversation down below.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
So,
More to come. Any final
all
words?
right.
Do we have an
No,
outro
I'm
thing yet?
good,
Do we
man.
have an outro thing yet? We
I know,
just
I
said
was gonna
welcome
say,
aboard.
dude,
Here I have the good one. I have a good
should
one.
we say, yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. You want to know my
we're
good one?
figuring this out right now, people.
Ready?
Yeah,
Ready?
yeah,
Here it
yeah,
goes.
let's hear it.
Get the hell off our bus. Bye, everybody.